getting those tightened up, we'll put a socket on here and spin this. Make sure when you spin it that your crank isn't spinning as well, so just hold tight on here. If it's not coming up like that, what I can generally do is take a hammer, tap on it one time, that'll pop that flywheel up. Then you just take all these bolts apart, or the bolts out, and your flywheel is off. Now you have to do that, you have to use that special tool because your crank is tapered, and so is your flywheel here, and it just pushes on there. So now we'll pull the cam chain and pull the other guide out there. Takes a 10mm. That had red thread lock on it, a little bit tougher to get out, but here is your drain bolt, 17mm. We can pull that now so that engine oil can be draining if there's some. Let that drain. Here's a Kickstarter here, 19mm nut. Alright, that pulls off there, and then this will just pull off of here. And we might have to tap on that with a hammer. Looks like there's a little bit of corrosion in there. WD-40. Let that sit for a little bit while we go ahead and take out the 8mm bolts that hold this clutch cover on. This is where you check and add engine oil. Now we'll have to get this Kickstarter off before we can pull this cover. Kickstarter is off. Clutch cover will come off. There's your clutch cover there. Okay, we've got your clutch here, your Kickstarter gear here, your oil pump's underneath here. So we'll start by taking that clutch off. 8mm. Take these off in a crisscross pattern. Just loose. Once you get those off, take springs and all off of there. Now underneath there's a bigger nut. Now there's a keeper on here, so you need to flatten out this keeper before you can spin that nut off of there. Take a screwdriver, get in behind that keeper, flatten it out. I kind of turn that nut again, impact it off. Now when you impact it, make sure that everything doesn't spin. You could possibly break gears because there's nothing holding like this Kickstarter gear together. Pull that off. Now what you can do, just to keep everything together, I put this back on. Put that back on, put these back in, springs and bolts, just to keep the clutch together. Now if you're replacing clutch, you'll always want to replace the springs. Friction plates are the first thing to go, or the springs. Once you get those started, just tighten them up. It's aluminum baskets, so you want to make sure that you get those nuts started before you pack them. Now, having everything back together, you can just pull this clutch pack apart. Why the clutch basket didn't come off with it is because it's got the same spacer here as the sprocket did. You gotta turn it 1/8 of a turn and pull this spacer. Now that clutch basket will come out. There's a washer in behind it. We can put that clutch pack back in the basket, keeping that all together. Let that drain there. Now we'll pull this nut off of the crank there. Again, make sure we've pulled the cam chain out, but just to make sure, let's hang on to it.